April 20th, 2023. SpaceX's Starship begins its historic first attempt to reach orbit. We know now how that story ends. And I was sitting on my couch that day watching the live stream like most people, 2,000 miles from South Texas. So I got nothing to add to that. But I can tell you about another time at Starbase. Just a couple of days in a long series as they steadily marched towards orbital launch.
There goes some methane.
FAO. No fine. Did you copy? Roger. What's assistance on location?
I was a kid during the Apollo days.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the left.
At the time, it seemed like a grand opening act of human space exploration.
I'm gonna step off the limb now.
But then we stopped. Today, there are those, a restless few, as Carl Sagan would say, who would forge a path back. Something pretty insane is happening on the southern tip of the Lone Star State. A Mars rocket is coming together. It's still a bit of the Wild West down there in Texas. As SpaceX engineers fire up their experimental prototypes, things don't always go as planned. But they're really figuring it out. With basically an interplanetary Manhattan project unspooling right along Public Highway 4, you can see why this place has become a mecca for, and I say this with the highest regard as I'm one of them, space nerds, and pretty much anyone else who's even a little bit curious. So one fine April day, me and my nephew Kevin, fellow space nerd, but in his case a cool one, got on a plane from New York down to San Antonio, and then drove 4 hours south to Port Isabel, home base for the next few days. From there, it's a 30-minute excursion to Starbase. Our luck was such that right off the bat, we got caught up in one of Cameron County's famous road closures whenever SpaceX was testing something. So instead, we explored a bit. The Sable Palm Sanctuary is a nature preserve right on the Rio Grande with some good hiking trails. It was fun to walk around the main house, which was formerly known as the Robb Plantation House when it was built in the 19th century. Somewhere along the way, our travels also acquired a quest to find a respectable Texas cowboy hat. More on that later. At Brownsville Airport, there's a Starship wing. We then drove over the causeway to South Padre Island. It's only 6 miles from Starbase. A lot of people will watch future launches from here. The beaches were windy that day, but just the place to bring your horses. Back in Port Isabel, I checked for any updates on the road situation.
No, we can go closer. We can go all the way past.
If you want to experience a lucid dream, visit Starbase at night. Your primitive brain will tell you you've passed some forbidden threshold and entered the forge of the gods. Instead of Zeus's thunderbolts, they were making towering silver spears for him to fling into space.
Flight EVA. Go. The commander ought to be getting the TV out while this Aldrin is doing this activity. Roger.
We got to Starbase almost exactly a year before that historic orbital flight test. They were already into the campaign of testing the final systems that would be required to launch the world's largest rocket. They had recently completed construction of the mammoth orbital launch mount and Mechazilla, immense hydraulic catching arms for Super Heavy.
Yeah, well, it looks like yesterday.
A year from now, Booster 7 would be blasting off the pad, clearing the tower even while succumbing to a cascade of failures of its complex technology. So begin the first steps of the Starship era. The last day in South Texas was for some obligatory rocket selfies and a tour of what might be the second most interesting place in the area after SpaceX. After all, when a giant rocket blasts off, people need to find a place to watch it. And one of those places is tucked into a tract of mesquite trees on the Rio Grande, only 8 miles from the launch tower. Rocket Ranch is a campground with just a hint of space commune. It has aspirations of drawing people from all over, with front row seats to the greatest rocket show on Earth. The owner envisions busloads of retirees, utopian dreamers, and space fans all mixing together to enjoy the spectacle of a Starship launch. Like SpaceX, it's a unique kind of place and worth checking out. Just call and talk to the owners before you go down to visit. I don't know how long humanity's first Mars ship will have a presence here in this sleepy little corner of South Texas. But like those who experienced Apollo thundering moonward years ago, you will have a tale to tell if you can say, of this place where Mars ships first left Earth, I was there.